Hello. Good evening. It's 8:59 p.m. on April 2nd, 2026. I was going to read from my Multiculturalism, Anti-Harassment, Inclusion, and Ethics Workshop Policy Plan Idea Classroom and Theaters, part number 2, sections of a larger project. This is part of a workshop proposal I wrote when I was a PhD student at the University of Arizona Global Campus. From June 2021 to approximately January 2024. I'm actually not remembering exactly which um, class it was, but I have the original essay. I'm reading from the um, somewhat copy edited version that is now on Amazon, available for purchase. You may be able to download this particular essay for free. I'm not sure. Um, all of my works I publish through KDP, which is the Kindle app that you can use to publish your works for free. So I'm just reading, and this is my casual read, as you can tell, because I'm not really feeling all that great. But I was just like, I'm just gonna read. So, dissertation research question: improving schools and places of work through multiculturalism, inclusion, anti-harassment, and ethics workshops and curriculum, by Terry Talaferro. You may think this is a little tacky because I'm just in casual wear tonight at just after 9 o'clock. Um, I'm talking about ethics issues, and of course, I really wouldn't wear this in a classroom, but I am in my residence and feeling comfortable and casual. So this is just my comfortable casual read. How effective is multiculturalism and anti-harassment, inclusion, and ethics? MAHIE multiculturalism, which means again multiculturalism, anti-harassment, inclusion, and ethics training at resolving discrimination, sexual harassment, retaliation issues, and creating equity between whites, blacks, and biracials in the classroom and in the workplace, using musical theater education and television news resources and examples as learning tools. So this is the abstract. My research question incorporates multiculturalism, anti-harassment, inclusion, and ethics. MAHIE Taliaferro 2023. That was the updated version, 2023. I think I originally published in 2021, or at least originally wrote. So using musical theater education and television news resources as learning tools and points of discussion, I will design and develop a workshop and curriculum to prevent discrimination, harassment, and unethical decision making and behavior in the school environment and the workplace. I selected this topic with the hope of improving academic and workplace environments for those victims of unconscious bias, microaggressions, discrimination, sexual harassment, retaliation, ethics, and moral issues. Okay, and to discuss moral issues in an academic environment and the workplace. Those persons protected under Title VII are often forced to say nothing when faced with discriminatory and harassment issues in order to keep their jobs. And I'm sort of laughing at myself right now, but because whatever. Okay. When the situation becomes unbearable and they must leave, they are often left without an income, without unemployment, and endlessly looking for work without unemployment insurance. Okay. And without employment. Often they choose not to discuss these issues in public or private and may even face mental health issues as a result of institutional racism that put the employee or student in this situation. Making academic and workplace environments safe spaces for learning and working is important to the development of better infrastructures for an ethical and multicultural future. In the Musical Theater Educators Alliance article, Diversity in the Traditional Musical, by Julio Agustin Matos, I think it's how you pronounce it, Matos Jr., Matos mentions the non-traditional casting project, which originated in 1986 to break barriers for minorities by supporting them to be cast in roles normally filled by white actors. Okay, I'm only going to read a part of this tonight. What time is it? Okay, so a few more minutes. The project mentioned a major setback in 2015 when the Dramatists Guild announced to directors that, quote, changes could not be made to a play, including text, title, and stage direction, without the approval of the author, end quote. This affected the casting of Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, which I think I've seen like once a while back. I might use the non-traditional casting project as an example, not only to explain methods that businesses and academic organizations should take to hire minorities and fill a minority in a business or academic role normally filled by a white person, male or female, but the Dramatists Guild announcement might be used to show how great intentions can go wrong and limit creativity by requiring approval from the author or authors of a work released for public purchase and rental. It becomes an issue when a work of fiction, in particular, is restaged and based on this request requires the author to be contacted and for the changes to be approved before the change can actually occur. This might be analogous to the same as, analogous is the same as, to an attempt by an employee to gain a promotion or move to another office into a new position, but a superior does not see the benefit of the skill of a minority in the role, nor does the person want to increase the salary of the minority to perform the duties required for the position. Okay, that's someone might say that's kind of a stretch, but I really don't think it is because, I mean, you're working on a stage with a particular work that could be really related to anything. And the whole idea of art is to create really anything that you want based upon the piece that has been created or produced or written. So you should be able to work with it in a manner in which it may not necessarily be reflective of its authentic purpose, but it may be more reflective of society as a whole, which would be a very diverse representation of actors and even content on the stage. So, okay. This type of juxtaposition can make for a good discussion in a workshop dealing with race issues and rebuilding infrastructure to break down old discriminatory race barriers and talk about ways to improve workplace discrimination, unconscious bias, harassment, and microaggression that lead to dead-end jobs for minorities and tensions in the workplace. I will also be using articles about Black girls and the failure by the school system to address harassment and punish the victims instead of the harasser in most instances. The lack of resources in place to handle issues related to this type of harassment and how this could affect future academic and workplace situations um, is, I think I meant to say, the lack of resources in place to handle this issue related to this type of harassment is crucial because it affects future academic and workplace situations. A clear code of a clear code of conduct was outlined in an article I scanned regarding sexual harassment in the theater, and it clearly defined appropriate behavior in a community that is artistic and creative. An example of an excellent code of conduct for the theater is theater as an art form. The work can and should be challenging, experimental, exploratory, and bold. Artistic freedom of expression is essential. For these things to happen, though, the creative space, because the spaces in which we work are broad, encompassing it administration, auditions, rehearsals, technical work, late night parties, public facing frontline work, and more. We must acknowledge and not exploit the blurred boundaries between work and social spaces. End quote. Okay. I might ask a group in a workshop for a business environment where the safe space aspect of the code might be developed for a work environment that follows Title VII regulations and adheres to EEOC guidelines as a point of discussion. Okay, I'm going to read one more page. And then Lehman S. and Morris C. 2018. In addition to utilizing articles, I would introduce several musical lyrics, songs, and scenes that might highlight multicultural, anti-harassment, inclusion, and ethics issues that will require identification in order to elaborate on in a workshop or class setting. Okay, so that preposition there probably that's a little bit confusing, but so I would include scenes from particular musicals in the workshop, and maybe even invite some people within the workshop to participate in a dialogue. Maybe not in the singing part of it, but the dialogue part of it. I would then ask questions about ways to resolve issues using the knowledge gained by the lyrics, songs, and scenes in the workplace. The musicals I might use would include, and then I listed some musicals. Dreamgirls, South South Pacific's South Pacific, Godspell, Dear Evan Hansen, to stress and discuss issues of racism, sexism, ethics issues, and inclusion issues. I would select songs and scenes that would address each one of these to discuss further in a workshop and to suggest resolutions in the workplace. Another aspect of my workshop and curriculum development would be to integrate excuse me, news and education into the teaching and discussion, introducing employees and students to the traditions of each other's cultures. As a student and or employee, a set of standards should be set. A set of standards should be set and discussed regarding verbal and nonverbal behavior of employees in the workplace. This is important to establishing in order to establish a level of respect that should be confirmed or acknowledged, and there should be some consensus about the level of respect. Each student or employee should be required to give a statement of affirmation that requires. Dude, I'm really repetitious on that, or repetitive on that. Some of the words, but okay. So each student or employee should be required to give a statement of affirmation that signifies a contract. The more a student or employee knows about another employee's experience and background related to his, her education or job, the greater the understanding between students and employees toward the development of a team environment in which to work. Okay, I'm going to end there, but I have a few more pages to read, and I think I had, oh no, and this one I didn't really focus on a particular theater in this particular workshop. And I'm just giving really a generalization of the types of things that I want to include in the workshop. I do have an actual listing of how I'd like the workshop to look, and what aspects of uh, legislation I want to include in the discussion, and how the workshop is really organized. So, which is not specified in this particular essay. Anyway, I just thought that I would share a little bit of this tonight, because I wasn't really, I've been sitting around watching television and not doing anything constructive. So I thought I would share this. While the content of the essay is very important, and I think critical to any safe classroom or working environment, and would maybe require may require a more business like approach in the next read. This is my sort of a practice read in a very casual setting on Thursday evening when I've had a day of activity. So I hope you will think about this and leave your comments here, and I will address them or respond to them when I have a chance. And I will read more hopefully tomorrow night. So, with that, I wish you the best this evening. Have a great night. God bless. And can always consider multiculturalism, anti harassment, inclusion, and ethics in your decision making.